it's easy to say that he's trash just because he lacks screen time. But if you really look at the facts and not feelings, narratively speaking, he's still a powerhouse despite him lacking screen time and him not getting the shine he deserves. Because even in recent movies, the writers, when you bring up strength, people bring up Hulk as the powerhouse character. Believe it or not. Even in the Wakanda Forever movie, which is more recent-ish, you know, when they introduced this powerhouse known as Namor, they still bring up the Hulk as if he's still a bar to surpass when it comes to power in the MCU. Like, the writers are aware that he's still a powerhouse in strength. Why would they compare any character that's strong to Hulk if he wasn't?
He is as strong as the Hulk.
And you notice anytime they bring up the strongest Avenger or something like that?
Banner.
Welcome, strongest Avenger.
Hulk is obviously very powerful. Thanos is a very skilled fighter, equally as strong, equally as strong, equally as strong. The more skilled fighter is going to win. Hulk has a moment where he overpowers Thanos.
This is crucial because this is something I'm going to bring back up later on in the same video. But yeah, directors said it themselves. They're equally as strong as each other. Thanos is just on a whole nother level when it comes to raw fighting skills. Think about putting two giant, strong beings against each other. One has the fighting skills of Bruce Lee and one has the fighting skills of a baby. Even though their strength is equal, the one that's Bruce Lee is going to curb stomp him. But they said in strength, they're equal. You see what I mean? That's important. Have you ever wondered what would happen realistically if a super soldier tier tried to get bulked with a Hulk level being?
A super soldier.
Because they pumped me full of that super soldier serum.
But that super soldier program.
Without plot armor, this is how realistically that fight would go. One shot kick, that's realistic. I know it's too hard for you to fathom, but despite how you feel, this Hulk and this Hulk is the same guy. Have you ever heard of the term recasting a character with different actors or different faces? That is a thing, by the way. Despite there being two different faces to play Banner in live action in the recent years, and despite the Hulk having different designs, facts trump feelings. There's even references in the previous movies to suggest these two are the same Hulk in the same universe. I mean, Tony Stark himself literally appeared in the Hulk 2008 movie as a post-credit scene, guys, in the same year, in 2008. Even alternate openings, a lot of people consider non-canon, are referenced in Avengers of Bruce trying to end himself, but the Hulk wouldn't let him.
And so I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out.
You can literally see them reference 2008 Hulk, just with a different actor's face. This is literally that scene from 2008 Hulk of him lifting these military vehicles.
But the last time I was in New York, I kind of broke Harlem.
I mean, in MCU handbooks, they even reference the Hulk vs. Abomination in Harlem.
Rampage in Harlem.
In the recent She-Hulk show, it's literally the same actor in the 2008 movie here. And believe it or not, even though the MCU hasn't really gave him much screen time, this Hulk has went through a fair bit of progression when it comes to the status, how his personality's working, everything like that. Like, one example is that him and Abomination literally squashed their beef.
So we put everything behind us. That fight was so many years ago, I'm a completely different person now. Literally.
I'm talking about so much character development. He got a son off screen somehow. Like, what? But anyway, if you know anything about the Hulk in the comics, the MCU kind of mimics some stuff from comics. You know, he did some testing, got hit with a gamma bomb. You know, this page kind of tells all that stuff. How he became the Green Monster, two different personalities. Hulk being able to control his transformations at will is even kind of referenced in the new Avengers movies. Like at the end of the '08 movie, we see him literally be able to turn into the Hulk on the spot. This is kind of like a callback to that scene on how you can just turn to the Hulk at will. This picture is basically a good timeline of how the events occurred, on how he's evolved over time. You know, his first mode was the Savage Hulk in '08, then the Savage Hulk has a different look. But Hulk, while he was technically a baby, ended up kind of spending time for years on another planet. It was even so bad to the point where the Hulk pretty much locked away Bruce to where the Hulk was like the Hulk for like years. You know, because the Hulk has two different personalities in one body. They're sharing a body.
I've been a Hulk for 2 years? I'm afraid so.
So in a way, you could argue that the Hulk has been gaining experience kind of, sort of, as time went by because he has been on Sakaar for 2 years just fighting in gladiator matches. Because he went from being a rage machine that's just mad all the time when he's in his hulked out state to actually being a being that talks, got his own room, palace, and probably a creature that he murked. Some of these fights I would like to see on screen, but yeah, we can theorize on the battles he's had off screen. He apparently fought like these different beings. One could argue the god of war, Ares, even Man-Thing, even possibly Beta Ray Bill. These are the beings that he legit beat, or is this just a fun Easter egg? By-Beast, you telling me he beat these beings off screen? That would be kind of crazy. Hulk has seen been using weapons, and due to the events of Endgame, he actually fused the Banner personality and the Hulk personality into one. Best of both worlds, apparently.
I put the brains and the brawn together. Best of both worlds.
I mean, yeah, the Hulk is a pretty straightforward character. He's a super strong being. He's super durable. He can jump really high. But let's really get into and deep dive into how strong he really is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Believe it or not, yes, he's still strong enough, even as Smart Hulk, to slugfest with Abomination. Despite the size difference, he's still strong.
No, sorry, I just get so angry all the time.
Oh, that gets me into the strength increase factor the MCU Hulk does have. I know it may seem invisible at times, but the MCU Hulk does have this ability. But we all know that one of the things that makes the Hulk scary is his strength increase factor. So if you wanted to say this Hulk is stronger because he's more of a temper tantrum type character, I wouldn't really argue with you. I mean, I could see that argument. I mean, he's a younger, less mature. You get madder when you're younger. That's just the truth. You know what I mean? This one technically should do everything this one should do too, though, regardless of how you feel, despite his lacking of screen time. But you're probably thinking, we don't ever see it. Notice how Hulkbuster Iron Man was actually able to kind of restrain the Hulk for a little bit here, for example. Then the Iron Man suit restrains Hulk's arm and he has some trouble getting out here. But notice when this happens, there's implications of a rage increase factor, strength. Look at the fear. Notice how it looks like he started curb stomping him and it kind of started seeming one-sided with that rage. You know what I mean? And this could also be an argument on how the Hulk was actually able to be knocked out is because he actually got calmed down in the same fight. See, a lot of people took this as the Hulk just got knocked out at his max rage when he really wasn't. He literally got caught off guard. He was snapping out of Scarlet Witch's spell. He was seeing how everybody was scared of him. And then he got caught off guard being punched. So he was already kind of calming down here. You see what I mean? But the Hulkbuster's just strong. There was a point where Abomination was pushing him against the wall and the Hulk couldn't get out of this corner. To the point where even Hulk was hitting him and it wasn't getting him off of him. But there was a constant theme in this movie of him getting amped up with rage by looking at Betty. And this is pretty clear and obvious if you really paid attention to the movie. We literally see him overpower Abomination's muscles because of anger. Cannons from Iron Man, U.S. Army Stark Industries. So these cannons that was giving Hulk issues was from Iron Man, not just some random military cannons. Just for those that are wondering why those cannons that were giving Hulk such issues. And even in this occasion, we get an example of his strength increase factor. But then he saw Betty, he started getting madder, look at the face. And then there's another example of his strength increase factor. Against Thor himself, when Thor was kind of getting upper hand over Hulk, there was a strength increase. You can kind of see it happen to where the Hulk was kind of rising too high, to where for a little bit the fight kind of started becoming one-sided for a little while until Thor snapped out of it and got crazy and became awakened or whatever. A valid critique, though, that people have about MCU Hulk is like, where the heck is his healing factor, though? Because he's supposed to be like Wolverine, literally. This cut that he had right here seemed like it didn't want to heal. And he kind of needed She-Hulk's blood to heal. So yeah, his regeneration could be better in this universe. Still faster than normal humans, but it could be better.
Your blood, and the way it synthesized gamma, I was able to use it to completely heal my arm.
I mean, just using common sense, anybody would be stronger than normal people if you weighed 1,000 pounds with 5% body fat. You know, we've seen him toss cars with one arm, literally rip the roof off a military vehicle. This vehicle gets launched, he catches it. This big Leviathan creature, he rips the steel out of it. There was this jet he rips the wing off of. It's obvious he can punch hard with all his strength and size, but he can use cars as literal boxing gloves. He stiff arms tanks or vehicles, use these vehicles as weapons, swings them around and creates a new weapon out of the said vehicle, and even rips the engine out of it and just throws it this hard to, pieces of steel he can toss so hard that it splits tanks or helicopters. And he can just straight up tear apart jets. This giant wolf, we've seen Hulk stop him from biting him and even slam this big being. No telling how big this boulder was he slung ridiculously far. This large skeleton bed crap he slung that far. Forklifts can weigh a couple tons and he can toss this kind of stuff. Thing he had to stop from moving. This Leviathan had to weigh over hundreds, several over 500s of tons, and he was able to slow this thing down. Another good example of his strength is that this boulder, he's not even mad at all. In his Professor Hulk state, you can see how he can easily toss stuff like this with one arm. Stuff like this isn't easy to calculate, but if we was to assume this boulder was like, I don't know, 4 feet or 5 feet, and if we assume it was made of granite, I'm gonna actually ask AI, my personal AI, to calculate how much something like this would weigh. My personal AI that I'm using estimated this rock should be like 5 or even up to 10 tons, meaning that the Hulk can lift easily 10 tons with one arm. Obviously, that should be obvious at this point. We've seen him lift tanks in this video, so that's not really the part that's impressive. It's the laughable ease he's able to do this with. And he's able to throw boulders like this all the way into the stratosphere, basically, Like, look how large this boulder is. I'm lowballing the size of the boulder, saying it was 5 feet, but this one probably is clearly bigger than 5 feet. But I'm lowballing his strength to let you know how strong the Hulk would have to be lifting up stuff this big. Because lifting something is one thing, but throwing it into space is another thing. It would take way more force to throw it into space, despite the weight of it. Based on my own personal calculation with AI, this feat of him throwing this boulder all the way into space, that would imply that he can not only lift 10 tons, but he can lift upwards of over thousands or even tens of thousands, 20s of thousands of tons based on him throwing it that far, if we're to take that seriously. Heck, I would even take it a bit further since this was with laughable ease. He wasn't even mad when he did this. I would even argue and say he can lift way more than this. This is like a bare minimum. I would even go as far as saying he could definitely lift up a cruise ship, stuff like that. All of this bull crap happened. Keep in mind, the Hulk was literally drained from almost dying from this Infinity Gauntlet snap, to where his arm even looked anorexic and crap. Him being able to support 1,000 tons makes sense when you look at all this rubble like this. And they go all the way down and you see who's supporting that weight. Yeah, it's kind of hard to measure how much weight this is, but yeah, he's holding up a lot of weight or debris. Yeah, as you can see it. So that 1,000-ton stuff kind of starts making more sense. A very blunt example of the Hulk's muscle and just raw strength is when he made a deity like Thor look like he was straining when their muscles clashed. Look at the facial expression. Like one arm, you can see him putting pressure on Thor. We even see it happen here again where we see their muscles or just strength clash with each other. This is the being that Hulk has to overpower in muscle. And I did my own personal calculation to this rock and it came out to be over 500 tons. And if Thor can lift weights like this, we literally see him toss this crap in the air. And we've seen Hulk do this. So yeah, the Hulk can probably lift similar weights up, 200, 500 tons and stuff like that. It makes sense. But matching muscles with Thor is way more impressive than just lifting 500 tons, because Thor literally lifted stuff or moved stuff that are mountainous in size. Like there was these rings that was around this neutron star, like this huge ring. They had to unjam this BS. This is Thor helped do this kind of stuff. People have done their own calcs to say this is millions or even close to billions of tons. Like this junk is mountainous in size as bare minimum. Like you can literally see it's massive. This is a clear image of the ship. Thor is even smaller than this, right? Like just to give you a small perspective, like how big this whole ring structure is. He's helping move these kind of things. There's the neutron star. This should apply for Hulk too, being a Thor-centric, muscle-wise tier character. I'm not talking about Stormbreaker and stuff or Mjolnir. I'm talking about they're just muscles clashing. Like you can literally see Thor physically move all of this stuff manually. Like, yeah, because of his super strength. And also had to take the force of a star. Yeah. And this is the same Thor. Hulk has to clash a muscle with consistently. Look at Thor's facial expression. Like there's a lot of weight behind Hulk's one arm. So it lets you know this guy can put a lot of pressure even for guys like Thor. This would imply, just like how Thor can manually move these rings with his muscle, Hulk should technically be able to do this too. And based on the narrative on how they're always matching each other's muscles, there's even certain Avengers that consider Hulk the strongest Avenger. Like I'm talking about Avengers like Iron Man himself.
Strongest Avenger.
Access denied.
Damn you, Stark.
Banner.
Welcome, strongest Avenger.
What?
You would technically have to believe the Hulk could do similar or the same. You would basically have to concede that the Hulk in the MCU can lift millions or billions of tons, just like how Thor can. That leads into another topic. What do you think his punches feel like? You ever thought about that? I mean, writers don't give a character all this raw strength if they can't use it in combat, so of course he can hit hard with this raw strength. He's able to ram his hands together and do a shockwave thunderclap. Heck, he can even use his body as a weapon juggernaut type thing to ram into bunkers. We've seen him hit hard enough to not only create shockwaves, but make his own localized earthquake in the vicinity where people can feel it. It does appear that he did knock out She-Hulk in her show when she first went She-Hulk and was going berserk. It's implied he knocked her out here because she woke up unconscious in her normal human form somewhere else. Don't ask, but Iron Man has some really overpowered armors. Yeah, the Hulkbuster armor just happens to be bigger than the Hulk size-wise, but like Hulk can hit so hard despite the size difference. He can hit it and send it flying. The weight of him clashing with Iron Man can bust windows out that are not even near the vicinity. So it's obvious he can one punch buildings with laughable ease. When you realize how durable Thor is, Hulk's fist can hit Thor's face. And there's implications that he can make Thor bleed by wiping his face. Even implications that he's gotten stronger over the years. Thor getting stronger over the years, that doesn't seem to matter. They seem to always be relative or somewhere in each other's ballpark when it comes to muscle, at least, not counting Stormbreaker, of course. There's even points where it looks like he surpasses him to where Thor can't even defend defend himself anymore. Thor's father is actually flashing before his eyes thanks to Hulk's punches. This is the same Thor that's literally in the middle of a city. Shattering explosion that Thor, he himself caused. Like, Thor was in the middle of all of this mess. Like, that big explosion he caused. Way scarier than any nuclear bomb you can think of. And this is the Thor he's rivaling when it comes to the weight of his punches. Dang near close to almost making Thor be knocked out despite him being able to withstand stuff that can blow up entire cities. Hulk's hits are way scarier than cities hitting you in the face, basically. In a weird way, you could say if Hulk was in that same situation with Sokovia, one could argue he should technically be able to do the same thing based on how durable Thor is, and he's hitting Thor and making him almost dang near go unconscious. The Thor that the Hulk is fighting is actually mightier than the one that actually blew up the entire city, Sokovia. Just to throw that in your face real quick. Because this Thor is technically what you would people dub Awakened Thor. And he's way stronger than the one that did that to Sokovia. And Hulk got hit by him, got staggered though. Yeah, Hulk was ready for the next round. He took more than one blow from this more powerful Thor. This basically proves that MCU Hulk's hits are scarier than the mightiest nuclear bombs we have in real life. There's not many beings that can actually use this gauntlet and not die. Only the powerhouses of the MCU, like Thor, Hulk, maybe Captain Marvel or Scarlet Witch, beings like that, there's implications. You have to be in that tier of power to be able to use it. Hulk is one of those beings that can survive using it, but it does damage him. And they state that these stones have enough energy to light up a continent. These things can literally blow away the universe. And Hulk's body was able to withstand this pressure or this energy being coursing through him, probably because of his gamma helping him out too.
It's not just the fact that that glove is channeling enough energy to light up a continent.
Even if we assume the smallest continent, that would still be ridiculous. For those that have their doubts about that statement being true, I would just let y'all hear the statement yourself about Thanos being able to use all these stones to destroy the universe. So if somebody could destroy the universe with these stones, I'm pretty sure lighting up a continent is easy.
I will shred this universe down to its last atom. With the stones you've collected for me, create a new one, teeming with life.
This Hulk could survive country leveling explosions if it came down to it. You know, I ain't one of those people that try to count this as a win or nothing because Grandmaster cheated or whatever when the real fight was about to begin. Pretty much shuts Thor down. And Hulk ends up punching and knocking this Thor out because of this. Now, when it comes to comparing Hulk and Thor to each other, I think the best way to understand Hulk's might is compare Hulk to Thor with Mjolnir. Not necessarily Stormbreaker, because Stormbreaker is indeed confirmed to be above Mjolnir. As of the MCU right now, I don't know if he could take a direct hit from Stormbreaker, because every time Stormbreaker hits a powerhouse, the hits usually are fatal. Like Thanos here, who's very similar to Hulk, fatal wound. And if Thor with Stormbreaker actually lands a hit on pretty much any powerhouse in the MCU to the head, without dodging, I don't see how a powerhouse can withstand this. You know what I'm saying? It can actually kill the powerhouses of the MCU. Like, you're probably thinking, oh, Stormbreaker Thor ain't all that because Thanos was handling him in Avengers Endgame. See, here's the thing about Thanos versus Thor in Avengers Endgame. Thanos never let Thor land a hit to his physical body with this Stormbreaker. You better believe if he did, that would have been it. But Thor was sluggish, he was slower, he was fat. He never could land an actual hit on Thanos in Endgame with this Stormbreaker. But there's implications if Thor landed a hit on Thanos, even in Endgame with Stormbreaker, that would have been it. Like, the Stormbreaker is kind of busted. And Hulk in the MCU, without his healing factor that we know of in the comics, I don't see how the Hulk will be able to take a direct hit like this and be able to fight and continue fighting after it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to compare Hulk to Stormbreaker Thor. Thor with his fist, sure. Thor with Mjolnir, sure, but with Stormbreaker, I don't know how the Hulk in the MCU would withstand a hit from Stormbreaker as of right now. It's even confirmed by the Russo brothers that the Stormbreaker is above Mjolnir.
Do you think Mjolnir would have been able to withstand the power of all 6 Infinity Stones as well as Storm?
No, it is not as powerful as Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker is a king's weapon.
But even without bringing Stormbreaker into the conversation, you got to remember that Thor, even in his very first Thor movie, this is a weaker Thor that Hulk fought. And he was still able to do this. And in the guidebooks and handbooks, even before Stormbreaker is in the equation, he can shake entire planets, apparently. His striking force alone. To the point his strike began to start breaking the planet apart. The Jotunheim planet, the ice planet with the frost giants. And this is only the first Thor movie, guys. The Thor that the Hulk fought is way stronger than this Thor. And notice how the Hulk doesn't instantly get knocked out from this guy's punches or strikes. Boom. Even when Thor went to his awakened state, it did stagger Hulk, but he wasn't instantly KO'd after this. This is the same Thor that can shake entire planets. And this is what Hulk had to withstand. And Hulk was still awake after that, staggered, but awake. Hulk even had to withstand another hit from this powered up Thor. I look at it like this. If this Thor from the first Thor movie can shake entire planets, then Thor in the Ragnarok movie could shake entire planets like the Jotunheim as well. And Hulk withstood 2 hits from this same being. Based on Thor's durability being similar to how hard he can hit, This would imply that the Hulk can shake entire planets too, just like Thor in this particular situation, without counting Stormbreaker, of course. You probably didn't know that MCU characters could shake the entire planets, like the powerhouses can shake entire planets in the MCU, did you? You probably didn't know that. But yeah, I think Hulk could definitely shake Oldenheim just like how Thor could, before the Stormbreaker stuff was even a thing, shaking entire planets. Now, I brought this up earlier, but I'm going to bring it back up again. Now, when it comes to Thanos versus Hulk, it does appear, like in this particular situation, it does appear when it comes to raw muscle, that Thanos literally overpowered Hulk with just straight up muscle, but the writers say this was more skill than just strength gap. When two beings that are on the same strength level fight, if one's a million times a better fighter, it's going to look like there's a large strength gap. You know what I mean? I guess this is their way of explaining it.
Is Thanos only able to beat Hulk because he had the Power Stone, or is he just that powerful?
I would say that he's just that powerful. Hulk is obviously very powerful. He's a little mindless in his fighting style. It's aggressive. It's pummeling. Thanos is the Genghis Khan of the universe. He's a very skilled fighter, equally as strong, equally as strong, equally as strong. So when you put those two up against each other, the more skilled fighter is going to win ultimately, which is why Hulk has a moment where he overpowers Thanos, but ultimately Thanos is smarter.
This is kind of important details when it comes to, they're really thinking highly of the Hulk's strength. Even though he got messed up pretty badly due to the skill gap, there's implications the strength gap isn't that large. Even if you don't give Thanos a strength gap, I would kind of agree he might have a strength gap. The Hulk it didn't seem like the Hulk was mad enough or something. So even if you wanted to say, yeah, Thanos is slightly above him, it wouldn't be an astronomical gap, but the skill gap would be astronomical. Like, say the strength gap might be Thanos of the 100 or something. I don't know the exact numbers. These are random numbers. I'm just saying, guys, work with me here. Hulk would be like, 95. So like, close enough, right? Maybe with Thanos having the strength advantage, right? Based on the directors, right? Think of like two heavyweight boxers, but one's like 100 times more skilled or more experienced. There's actually occasions where you can one-shot certain beings in real life. You know what I mean? Right here, it looked like some type of pressure points Thanos used. Now, this is where we get into some slight speculation stuff because Hulk doesn't have much screen time. Thanos doesn't appear no more. But like the way they talk about these two, Thanos and Hulk are not technically gods. Like Thanos is eternal, Hulk is like a gamma mutate or whatever. These beings are implied when it comes to raw power to be in those god tiers. You know, the gods of the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know, the different gods in the MCU. I want you guys to remember that beings like Captain Marvel exist in the MCU, a being that literally got her powers from an Infinity Stones. You know, the things that can destroy the universe, like those things. We've literally seen her have enough raw energy projection, reignite a dying star in her latest movie. She did this with laughable ease, no strain at all. This is the kind of energy she can hit with or blast with. She did that in less than a minute, less than 30 seconds, if we take that real-time stuff to be serious. This would imply that the MCU powerhouses can hit with way more force than planet-shattering force if she can reignite a star like that with ease. With her blast power, you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with Hulk? Well, remember I just said, the director said the Hulk and Thanos are similar when it comes to strength and durability, blah, 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 right? Regardless of who you think is stronger, Captain Marvel or Thanos, that's not really the point. The point is that she literally hit Thanos a few times, and Thanos was not being knocked out despite her having the raw energy to be able to reignite stars. She can hit with that kind of force, but yet she couldn't one-shot him. If she could, why didn't she? Because this was a life or death situation. The universe was at stake. If she could, she would have. This shows how durable Thanos is. Kind of lets you know how durable Hulk would have to be too. So think of it like this. If she can hit this hard to reignite stars and Thanos doesn't instantly get knocked out, that would imply if she was to punch the Hulk, she wouldn't instantly be able to one-shot the Hulk either. You see what I mean? See where this is going? Hulk and Thor have been boxing since the very first Avengers movie. And I look at it like this. Even though the what if universe is technically not canon, or the what if scenarios are technically not canon, they're like what if scenarios of the main continuity in certain situations. You know, just take it as a grain of salt. But if this goofy what if version of Thor, that's a party animal or whatever, can slugfist in a what if scenario, these both what if versions of the characters, if they both can slugfest, I could definitely see this happening in the main continuity too. If Thor can do this, I would say Hulk can do this too. This is before the Stormbreaker stuff. Notice how in these what if scenarios, it's not like a one shot and it's not like a one-sided matchup, beat down. You see what I mean? Despite Thor having this new awakened state, Thor himself in this very movie fighting Hulk pretty much agreed that the Hulk has the ability or raw strength to kill Thor if he's not careful. You know what I mean?
What are you, crazy?
Just can't go around throwing shields at people. Could have killed me. Could have killed me. Could have killed me.
I want to say this again. I'm not getting into a debate on who you think is stronger, Captain Marvel or MCU Hulk. I'm just saying, just like how she was able to hit Thanos and wasn't instantly able to knock him out with one hit, she hit him at least 4 times in a row and he wasn't knocked out. This same concept should technically apply for Hulk if she was to hit Hulk. if Hulk was in that same situation, he would be able to take multiple hits from somebody that can literally reignite its star. You see, this would imply these beings can withstand stuff way more than planet-shattering types of force, or even dish out that kind of force backwards. So in a weird way, her new movie kind of retconned the power levels of the beings we saw in the past, and they're stronger than we originally thought. It's kind of like a retcon. It kind of upgraded everybody. It upgraded the powerhouses of the MCU when she appeared to do that new feat in the Marvels movie. Because when the powerhouses fight each other, they have to be able to match each other's power, blah, 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 blah. Like if one character can hit with the force of a star and another character can endure it and match her power back and damage them, they can withstand the same stuff. You see what I mean? Like I said, I'm not really trying to get into a debate on who you think is stronger. You know, without the gauntlet, this would imply Thanos will be able to endure planet-shattering force, reigniting sun type of energy smashing in his face. This same type of sun reigniting energy slamming in the Hulk's face, Hulk should be able to withstand this type of concussive force too. If these two really do have the same durability like the Russo brothers say it. We're technically going to see another Hulk in a newer movie, like in the Captain America movie, so maybe he might show some new stuff there, and that can kind of give you an idea of the Green Hulk, whatever Red Hulk can do, Green probably will be able to do. You know what I mean? The different gamma mutates getting more screen time is just going to make the Hulk look better. This is a newer movie, and if the writers didn't at least respect the Hulk's strength, this newer movie wouldn't have brought up Hulk when they're trying to measure a character's power level. I brought this earlier when I brought up Namor. MCU Namor, his strength is compared to Hulk to kind of give the audience an idea that he's a powerhouse. If the Hulk was weak, why would they bring him up as a bar to reach when it comes to power?
He is as strong as the Hulk.
In a weird way, you could kind of say all three of these beings are technically planet busters when it comes to how hard they can hit. Same with Thor as well. I personally think what happens in What If series should be taken with a grain of salt, but at the end of the day, the What If series is a what if these certain MCU characters did certain things differently. You know what I'm saying? So you can kind of, sort of, even though it's technically not canon, you can kind of sort of look at it in a way to kind of gauge power levels of characters that never interacted, kind of sort of. We're still yet to see this in the MCU, but we literally seen in a What If of MCU Hulk fighting a Scarlet Witch zombie or some crap. And it's not apparently one-sided. Nowadays in the MCU, we don't really get to see Gamma family members face off against magician type characters, so it's really hard to gauge how Hulk would stand up against, you know, powerhouse magician magic user type beings. But we did see Abomination, somebody that's for sure Hulk level, punch with so much weight to where Abomination can actually break through magician's force fields. This would imply that if the Hulk was in this same situation, the Hulk could do the same to magicians like Wong. I mean, if I'm being honest, guys, I'm not trying to compare nobody that I've said in this video to Dormammu or nothing, but just remember these shields that these magicians use for a little bit was deflecting attacks from Dormammu. It didn't last forever. Of course, Doctor Strange died and had to do a time loop, but yeah, these shields are pretty strong, even though Doctor Strange did get murked here. Similar to how Scarlet Witch was able to break these shields, like the Doctor Strange shields and stuff, Gamma mutate beings can kind of break through this kind of stuff too. Even though I'm not saying the Hulk is necessarily up there with Scarlet Witch during this time period, because, you know, there's kind of like a propaganda to keep Scarlet Witch above everybody right now, as of right now.
And who would be the strongest Marvel hero?
Wanda Maximoff was going to kill Thanos. That's as scared as I've ever seen Thanos. And if he hadn't said, decimate my entire team to get her off of me, I think she would have done it.
But then again, fighting magicians are tricky. They could just literally push your soul out of you like how they did here. Like, couldn't a magician beat a Hulk like this or just cheat and win via hacks? Spirit pushing out of your body type stuff. So comparing Hulk to magicians is kind of wonky, but yeah, just something for you to think about. I mean, comic Hulk can fight magicians, but it's a little different in the MCU as of right now, unless they change up Hulk a bit in the future. But obviously, Hulk with the gauntlet, he could blow away the universe. You know, if he wanted to, he could have blown away the universe, just like how Thanos could with the gauntlet. I mean, just one stone in the lore in the handbook, just to give you an idea of how strong all the stones put together would be. This one stone is capable of destroying the universe. This is just one. You know, we ain't talking about Hulk with that. This is just straight up cheating. I mean, Hulk is a force to be reckoned with because you remember this being Surtur and Hela? Remember how they kind of fought for a little second? And she kind of just got stomped with the sword that Surtur hit with her with. He blew up the entirety of Asgard. Like right here. And Hulk didn't get like in a full-blown fight with Surtur or nothing, but it is kind of cool that the weight of Hulk's hits actually staggered this being. Yeah, so Hulk has to be a powerhouse. Saying he has tough skin is an understatement. Honestly, if he wasn't durable, if he punched stuff that was large, his bones would shatter under the weight of his hits if he didn't have durability. I mean, just think about it. If you punched like an anvil or something, and if your bones wasn't durable enough to withstand the recoil, your arm would shatter if you only had strength without durability. So the Hulk obviously has durability that can match his punching power and such, right? And why would you dare try to shoot tranquilizer at him? That just ain't gonna cut it. I'm gonna give you something to think about for a second. You know Rocket in the MCU. He's a character that's obsessed with different big guns and just powerful weapons in general. This leads me to ask you, which weapon do you think is stronger? His weapon that he has or Thor's hammer Mjolnir? We haven't seen these two things clash, but I would kind of put my money on Thor's weapon since it's more in the divine type of stuff. Seems like a divine weapon would be more powerful than just some super duper powerful alien tech. You see what I mean? You're probably wondering why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because there's powerful weapons like this just casually laying around in Rocket's ship that can quite literally shatter moons. This is not an exaggeration when it's mentioned in multiple different handbooks, even stated in the movie itself.
That's for if things get really hardcore. Or if you want to blow up moons.
No one's blown up moons.
You're probably thinking, what does all this have to do with Hulk? Well, depending on what you think hits harder. If you think Rocket's weapon is stronger than Mjolnir, that's fine, you're entitled to your opinion, but Hulk did take a hit from Mjolnir fighting against Thor, even the same Thor he's drawing blood from. You see what I mean? You know Hulk's durability and how hard he can hit go hand in hand with each other. Do you think Hulk can punch harder than that rocket gun that can blow away moons? What do you think? This could imply Hulk could shatter a moon with his punches. But we ain't seen him do it, of course, but this could imply that. You see, your thoughts? Like, I'm not really trying to get into the debate on who you think is mightier, but if you want to assume that the Hulk is somewhere in her power level, I mean, the actress has even had statements about how strong she is in the MCU, and her feats in the MCU don't even contradict these statements. She actually has greater feats in the MCU than her statement. The actress literally stated she can move planets.
She's so strong. She can move planets. So to me, it was like, how far can I go with this strength?
Yeah, the gods in the MCU are starting to show greater and greater things. In turn, just kind of makes me believe that the Hulk and Thor and other powerhouses are just planet busters. I mean, think about what we saw Khonshu do in the Moon Knight series of him literally moving the entire planetoid of the moon, guys. This just kind of makes the gods look more impressive, Thor included, and you know how Hulk can hang with Thor. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes them all look more impressive. Like, you see them rotating the sky like the star. Like, what? Are you rearranging this many stars in the sky? Like, what the heck? And there's implications gods like Khonshu are not even the strongest in the MCU. Like, there's literally a ton of different deities. Khonshu's definitely not the strongest out of them, but he's very powerful, of course. But, like, this can kind of give you an idea of what the powerhouses or the top tiers can do. I mean, Thor himself even calls them the most powerful gods in the universe, in this place, omnipotent city.
Welcome to the Golden Temple, kids. This is where the most powerful created gods in the universe hang out.
You see why this kind of stuff kind of implies a character like the Hulk can shatter a moon or crack the moon in half? Partly the reason why he can hit so hard is probably because he can hit fast. You know, he can react to stuff. You know, his hands are fast. Y'all remember when he was on top of a jet, this guy tried to escape Hulk, his reflexes were too good. If you're in Hulkbuster armor and you're trying to summon more armor, he's fast enough to swat it away. I mean, for Pete's sake, one of his arch foes is the Abomination, so his combat speed has to be similar to Abomination's fist or fighting speed. And Abomination is fast enough to react to missiles and catch them like nothing. He has the reflexes to box it out with Thor in combat speed, despite Thor being fast enough to react to stuff Captain America has a hard time reacting to. Thor just easily deflects the same stuff. Hulk's never really had a problem reacting to beings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, honestly. I would say his only weakness so far, or his only main counter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is Stormbreaker Thor. Like, I don't know how any Gamma Mutate or any powerhouse in general can take a direct hit from this part of the axe of this Stormbreaker so far. It seems like it's an instant mortal wound for anybody, even Hulk beings up to this point. The biggest and most obvious counter for the Stormbreaker is to just dodge it at this point. Like, who could just withstand a straight up Stormbreaker strike to the neck? As far as we've seen, it doesn't seem like a Gamma Mutate, even in this universe, will be able to withstand it yet. But who knows what they'll do with the future of Hulk in the MCU. But everybody, yeah, the Hulk is crazy. Doesn't have the most showings. I hope this was still enlightening for you. People kind of undersell him, even though he does get disrespected because the writers ain't really doing nothing with him. I mean, there's literally guys out here that can literally move entire stars. But regardless of how you look at all this stuff, the Hulk believes, you should hit that like button for sure. It would really help out a lot. Thank you guys for sticking around this long, and thanks for the donations, everybody. It really helps out a lot. Even though I wish he would finally get his own trilogy in the movies. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.